home. But Colson, nice pass across. Here's Draisaitl. He scores! Leon Draisaitl's won it in Game 4 for the Oilers, and the series is tied at 2.
Welcome to 32 Thoughts, the podcast presented by the GMC Sierra AT4X. Shromati, Friedman, Bukauskas back with you. Elliot, we should have known, watching Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce walk into Amarant Bank Arena, that something sensational was brewing on Thursday night. First time since 1919. A team wins a game in the Cup final, went down 3-0. We had another tying goal inside 20 seconds to go in the third period. They went 100th overtime in the history of the Stanley Cup final. Leon Draisaitl coming off a game that he did not have a shot attempt for the first time since, Diefenbaker was Prime Minister in Canada. He ends up scoring the fourth overtime winner of the playoffs, second of the final, 4 OT winners in the postseason, 1 postseason. Never happened before in your wildest dreams, Elliot. Could you have imagined what we witnessed on Thursday night?
I am exhausted, and I didn't even play.
Yeah.
Just watching that game, I was emotionally spent. Hands up, everyone, who thought after the first period Edmonton was coming back.
Like
Liars.
Ron McLean could put his hand up.
You know, I have to tell you, Kyle, that there were a bunch of us, and I'll say it myself. I won't say who the others were. I'll say myself. I am generally optimistic. I thought Edmonton was done. There were others who are generally optimistic who thought Edmonton was done. And to their credit, they tied it. They went ahead. Like, the emotion swings were crazy. Tied it, went ahead, blew it in regulation. Some of the chances in overtime, the Frederick kick that hit the post, and I think that would have counted. I think that when it's very clear in these playoffs, they do not want to take goals off the board. And I didn't see anything there that was so egregious they would have taken it off the board. And then the Bennett post. Like, if there's one thing that really alarms me about Edmonton's game, they don't get the puck out enough. That happened on the game-tying goal, and that happened on that play where Bennett hit the crossbar. And then they won it. I did not think Edmonton was coming back in that game. I just looked at Florida and the way they played, and I thought they were done in this game. And I'll say this, Stuart Skinner, he got pulled. I thought he was great in the first period. And even though he gets a no decision, and Pickard now 7-0, like unbelievably 7-0, Stuart Skinner's role in this game should not be forgotten, because that first period could have been a lot worse than 3-0. That could have been 5 or 6-0.
That was a vibe change pull.
Yes, it was a vibe change pull. Now, I got to tell you a little bit about Taylor Swift before we break.
Yeah, you weren't too far away from them.
We were, so our seats where Dave and I sit, we sit at the top of one of the sections, and her and Travis Kelce's box was 3 away from us. So they were close. Like, Dave and I walked down the hallway at one point before I realized she was there, and Dave goes, "Which suite do you think Taylor Swift is in?" And I started laughing because it was the one with 2 cops and armed military personnel outside of it. And in their suite, they had the black shades pulled on the sides. Like, no other suite had the black shades pulled. And, you know, Gretzky got in there because he's Gretzky. Dave tried. He got rebuffed. And that's not true.
He's in handcuffs. Yeah,
he didn't try. Yeah, Dave was taken to the jail in the basement of the arena. No. So nobody else was getting in there. But the funniest thing was, there was a guy leaning forward who was a big guy with a beard, and I thought it was Kelce. So I took a picture of it, and I said to Spearsy, we should put this on the second intermission. Like, this is how close we are to Swift and Kelsey. And there's a picture of Kelsey, and Spearsy's like, okay. And then he gets on the intercom to me like a couple minutes later. He goes, you are an idiot. And I said, why? He goes, that's not Travis Kelsey. So the guy I took a picture of was wearing a black hat and I think a white shirt. And Kelsey, I think, was wearing a white hat and a red shirt or something like that. He goes, you can't just send me a picture in the middle of the game when I'm doing like 19 things at once and say, oh, it's Kelsey, put it on air. He said, basically, the other people were paying more attention than he was. And they're like, that's not Travis Kelsey. So
oh, my gosh.
So we came pretty close to putting a picture of this guy on the air and me saying, yeah, here's how close I am. And you can see Travis Kelsey. So thank you to the other people in the control room who were paying attention.
Yes.
I realized that wasn't him. But
everyone in there that had more journalistic instincts than Elliot.
Which is everybody. But like it was a great building. Like that was a great, like we talk about how great the Edmonton crowds are, and they are great. This was a really good crowd for this Florida game. Like they were invested. They were really invested. The euphoria of the first period, the shock of the collapse of the second, the even bigger shock when Wallman scored to put them ahead, the pride of Armor Heights, the euphoria again when they tied it, the close chances in overtime, the up and down. Like it's a true heavyweight fight. Punch, counter punch, both teams. And then the shock that Edmonton actually won the game. Like those fans could not believe they lost. We talked about how momentum doesn't have to go from game to game. So Edmonton proved it. They got clobbered in game 3, and they were, by all intents and purposes, out at the first intermission of game 4, and they won. And you know Florida, as stunning as this was to witness, they're a mature, composed team. They will put this behind them, and they will be ready for game 5. This is the last game of the series where there will only be one off day between games. So it's a quick turnaround, and Stetcher didn't play after the first period, 4 minutes. Edmonton was going short, but that's what you do at this time of year. The one thing I did want to say was, I believe it was Jake Wallman who pointed out that Corey Perry spoke up in the first intermission. I heard it was, I don't know if it was exactly the same as McDavid post game 2 last year in the final, but I heard it was pretty close. It was like,
oh yeah,
it was one of those "what the bleep are we doing out there" speeches. I heard it was very calm before the overtime. It was kind of like along the lines of, hey, if we would have thought we would have been in this position after the first period, we gladly would have taken it.